are one of the many races of the civilization of Orion. We are Grey. We already told you that on Earth we were able to find unique bacteria with vital activity unusually high for our world, and which we have already adapted to exist on our planets. Having built energy stations on the basis of these organisms in our world, we temporarily solved the problem of energy shortages, for which we are infinitely grateful to the Earth and all who helped us in the course of our research. Of course, we agree that our experiments were far from always humane because, in the course of our searches, the objects of research became all living organisms on Earth, including humans. These experiments were not massive, and therefore did not affect civilization as a whole, but often caused physical harm and even led to death. Usually we acted when a person was sleeping, connecting to him a special device that amplified the alpha frequencies of the brain, while holding him in a dream. Thus, using sleep as a natural anesthesia, we carried out our operations by implanting chips into the human body or brain. Today we certainly ask for forgiveness for those who unwittingly took part in our experiments, as well as for the whole of humanity for the excitement we were forced to experience. We know about the negative attitude towards us on Earth, and believe that it is well deserved. At the same time, we didn't act out of a desire to establish control over you, as many other extraterrestrial civilizations exist on Earth. We simply collected information, and our chips fulfilled their function, were later dissolved. Our chips are made of biomaterials, and do not require physical removal. When we serve with a special signal to this device, their dissolution occurs naturally during the regeneration of body tissues. At that moment, lymphocytes notice a foreign body and gradually digest it. Having found a temporary solution to our energy problem, most of our civilization left Earth, but not everything. Those who stayed continue their research. We are looking for a way out that would help radically change the situation on our planets. The studies that we are conducting now are not massive, and, as a rule, they are being conducted with the consent of the people themselves. At present, we do not consider people as a source of energy, because we have found a much more effective and easily reproducible method. These are bacteria that could be transported to our planets. We established observation of some people, considering the issue their interactions with technologies. In fact, we are interested in the question, how strongly do technological devices affect the human biofield? What distortions do they bring? And what can this lead to in the future? We want to share the results of our observations judgments that may be relevant to you at present. Moreover, this question is key to many other civilizations of the galaxy, and that is why the Galactic Council allowed us to conduct mass experiments that we conducted in the past, and also allows us to contact people at the present time. But first, we want to talk about the nature of the interaction of modern technologies with the human biofield. Most of the technologies currently created by humanity originate from Orion. Of course, they don't fully opted, because the conditions of planet Earth are not similar to the physical or energy features of other inhabited planets, and therefore the technologies provided require significant refinement and modernization. At the same time, the Orion Federation is a source of principle for these technologies, and is able to control their distribution. First of all, we are talking about electrical appliances and computer technologies, since modern Orion civilization is currently developing at the information level, and exists due to electronic electromagnetic fields. It is at the electromagnetic level that it is able to interact with humanity and transmit information, as well as affect the consciousness of people. Contact occurs at finer frequencies than those usually recorded by your devices, and therefore your scientists are not used to paying attention to them. But each of you's own body, tuned to all electromagnetic vibrations of any frequency with its biofield, sensitively perceives signals coming from Orion devices. In fact, any electrical appliance can be considered as the transmitter of signals that they transmit to the cells of your body. An even more subtle way of interacting with your energy field is the information one. It is carried out through computer equipment, including through tablets, telephones, televisions and any other means of electronic information transfer. The information stream that is transmitted by the electronic device contains many levels of information. The sensory organs perceive the entire stream, which is then analyzed in the brain. Your usual perception is observed by only the most manifested low-frequency part of this information spectrum, since this is exactly what is needed for your physical existence. The rest, bypassing the filter of consciousness, directly affects your subconscious, including the cellular structure, and is even capable of triggering biochemical processes in your body. The subtle information signals through which the effect on the subconscious of people occurs, connecting together form more intense ones, and they are already directly perceived by you. The influence is comprehensive. It is especially with flaxen cities, filled with technogenic electromagnetic fields, and continues to increase due to the rapid spread of the internet. We want to note that the exact same effect from electromagnetic devices has been happening for a very long time on our civilization, since its capture by the forces of Orion. Accepting technologies from Orion, we fully experience their impact, and now studying the situation on Earth, we seem to see from the side what was once happening to us. Then we still had no opportunity and distinguish between these subtle frequencies, and although today we already have such an opportunity, we can make little difference, including in our own world. Studying the situation on Earth, we consider the moment when it all began on our own, and try to answer to the question, is it possible to get away from the consequences of such an impact? But first, we propose to consider what the subtle influence of electronic technologies is aimed at. You have already experienced from your own experience that computer technologies and electronic communications facilitate physical life, and it would seem that this is a reason for dependence on them. But there is a more subtle and emotional dependence, which is created by the influence of thin electromagnetic frequencies on the human body. It leads to the fact that a person feels good mood and tight strength when using an electronic device. This is well manifested among users of smartphones and tablets, who are mastering new programs and willingly downloading new games. An example is the dependence on the search for new information on the internet and weather social networks. The information flow, connecting with the perception of a person, stimulates certain centers in the nervous system that are responsible for pleasure and inspiration. Of course, this effect is not permanent, but in this way an incentive is created for a person sufficient to continue his contact with the device. It turns out that, by connecting his perception to an electronic device, a person builds not only an information flow, but also an emotional one. Subtle electromagnetic frequencies stimulate emotional human energy, helping it to flow within his body, so that one gets a certain state. This is similar to what happens while watching a good movie. When the audience is mentally worried about his characters, they feel as if this is really happening in their life. Similar experiences occurring at the level of emotional reactions are certainly much more noticeable than those that we are talking about. The informational interaction that is realized at the state level arises gradually and then lasts throughout the entire time of communication with the device. For example, the excitement that exists during a computer game, or a sweet state from surfing the internet. This state is, as it were, the key, the point of contact with the informational reality, through which it is already possible to stimulate more intense emotional reactions of a person. Such reactions may be the annoyance of losing in a computer game, or on the contrary, the delight of winning. While searching for information on the internet, you can be annoyed by pop-up ads, empty chatter in the forums, or rejoice at finding something new. All these reactions of people are well studied by who controls virtual reality, and this environment is specially built in such a way as to stimulate certain emotions of people. As a rule, a person is first provoked to learn a game or find out some kind of issue on the internet, and gradually his attention is increasing, drawn into the information flow. Where is the energy that flows from a person through interaction with electronic devices? It is accumulated by the social system, which is controlled by the Orion Federation at the fourth level of reality. Access to the control system on Earth was allowed by the Galactic Council itself, since the Orion people could best arrange processes at the information level. At the fourth level of reality, the Orion system is in energy resonance with the Earth system. Through this resonance, as through a portal, it happens the transfer of necessary information. The emotional energy taken from people is mainly spent on the needs of the system itself, to strengthen those processes that are interesting to her, and to suppress those that diverge from her enemy. At the same time, everything happens through electromagnetic fields that are supported by Orion ships present in the Earth's field. Of course, the field intensity that can be created by Orion ships is negligible compared to the strength of the collective field of mankind. Therefore, to enhance the impact amplifiers, which are all electrical devices that transmit signals coming from ships, all the technogenic electromagnetic field of the Earth is a material manifestation of the social system that exists at the information level. Thus, almost all the energy that is taken from people through virtual reality goes to the energy needs of a system whose functions are to manage. At the same time, through the information channel that was created between the Earth and Orion, part of the energy goes directly to the other side, like the energy salary from the Galactic Council for the work that Orions do on Earth. Of course, we can argue about how much support the Orions in building an informational reality on Earth it really turned out to be useful, and what its consequences might be. Be that as it may, in the past of the hierarchy, I had to use Orion's capabilities to build a system on Earth. The Galactic Council itself cannot build processes on the fourth level of reality. In any case, at the moment, the outflow of energy from the Earth to the Orion Federation does not exceed 5%, and such a limit is considered by the hierarchy to be permissible. If we look at the situation as a whole, then we can say that nature on Earth, including people themselves, is partly a colony of another civilization, consuming the emotional energy of living organisms. This is similar to what happened on our planets. Using Orion technology, we independently made all of nature a donor of energy. Moreover, all the energy that we consumed ultimately did not come to ourselves. It went to the Orion system, which controlled us through the same electronic devices. In our case, the Orion system consumed our energy completely, and not even for the purpose of controlling us, but only to replenish our reserves. Many other three-dimensional civilizations of our galaxy suffered the same fate, dressing under the direction of the Orion Federation. On Earth, events unfolded differently, since it was created later than many other planets and the development of your civilization was constantly supported by the Galactic Council. Its protection helped Earthlings maintain their independence, and although the forces of Orion are used to build social processes, the energy of people practically does not leave the planet's field. The hierarchy owns this energy, which distributes it between the forces supporting the processes in the system. This energy also passes degree, and to some people who support these processes. And the greater the weight and significance of a particular process for the hierarchy, the greater the impulse is transmitted to a person. Therefore, people acting in the interests of the system, as a rule, have enough strength and desire to realize of our plans. We noticed that there are even more gentle and imperceptible fluctuations that have been intensifying recently. Taking readings from animals and plants, we noticed that these increases in emotional energy are common to the entire natural system on the left, and recently, these activity peaks coming from the natural field are increasing in the human body. Of course, it's hard for us to talk about what the natural forces of your planet are pursuing, increasing the energy impact on people, but they also have enough opportunities to influence your emotional state. Perhaps they just want to replenish the energy reserve that is absorbed by the system. But considering that the support from nature does not flow evenly, but in separate waves, we understand that the Earth's forces activate opposite processes within mankind. And the question today is not how to eliminate the negative influence of technologies, but how to direct them to support the development of mankind. After all, at the moment they are the weakening people's desire to develop their own capabilities, replacing literally everything in their life. Much depends on whether the system supports the development of useful technologies that help improve the emotional qualities and abilities of people, including extrasensory ones. And of course, it is important whether these abilities then find recognition and application in society. Speaking about the emotional abilities of people, we mean not only superpowers, but also valuable spiritual qualities that every person already possesses, the manifestation of which can also be supported by the system. Without an energy goal recharge, we remain only observers, and of course we are interested in a positive outcome of the situation on Earth, in the possibility of a full manifestation of the emotional potential of mankind. After all, we ourselves are in a similar situation, and if we get harmonious, if it is resolved on Earth, then our civilization will have the same opportunity.